Thanks for dropping by. This time of year I usually do a spring trim on my bonsai. I don't usually film all of it because it's very repetitive, and basically this mist, it's midsummer prune, which means I've got some ridiculously long extensions that are just a waste of time. The only thing they do is help thicken the trunk up. But they are a waste of energy from the tree's point of view, because I'm just going to cut them all off. And this is just a matter of the lower branch forms a nice platform, nice layer, as does this one. Then it starts getting a bit cluttered, so it's just a matter of getting that overall shape back, nothing more at this time of year. And a lot of it is just going to take everything back to the two buds nearest to the base. So it's a relatively quick process. Anything pointing upwards comes off. Have to excuse the workmen, but they've got work to do, as have I. As I say, this is just it can be done without thought at this time of year, because it is literally a matter of just taking everything back. Like I said, it's a bit of a waste of energy from the tree's point of view. Having put the growth in there, it then gets chopped off, which is a shame, and wouldn't have been as necessary had I done it summer pruning, in which case a lot of these extensions would have been taken back, and as a consequence would have branched and they wouldn't have been so long. It takes a bit of the energy out of the tree. And if you do a prune in June or around that time, depends on the weather, you will get a mass of budding back along the branches, which you can then choose what you want to keep, because you might not want to keep all of it, which is fair enough. The workmen are upsetting the cats now. Right, that'll do for that one. It's just a matter of levelling it off. We've got some nice back buds on this branch, which means it's filled out quite nicely now. What it could do with doing is being brought down. That would need some wiring. It would need a wire round the branch and then round the bottom of the pot, which I may do. I thought about doing it last year and didn't get round to it. The same would apply to this branch. This would look better if it came down a bit. But all my trees were badly neglected for quite a few years, and as a consequence I've just been trying to get them back into a bit of shape. The other thing worthwhile remembering with maples, when you're pruning back to a pair of buds, don't prune tight, leave a little lead. On the grounds that behind the cut will often be some dieback, so leave some room for that dieback to go back without actually taking you know, the buds out behind it. Yeah, you're sticking up, you can come off. So to find out what's sticking up, what needs to come off, or sticking down for that matter, you need to get level. You need to get down and look, basically. So that's the lowest two branches done. Now we're into trying to encourage the look of layers. And as I said, we've got a lot of silly long extensions that are of no use to man the beast, so they're just going to have to come off. I'm going to do this basically by eye, just literally close in, if you see what I mean. Always stand back, every now and again just walk back, take a step back, look at the overall shape. Have you left a hole somewhere? If you have, it's a bit late, you should have looked earlier. So I'm working on this branch at the moment, which, as I said, has got some ridiculously long extensions. Actually, I'm going to take that one right off and keep the one sticking out sideways. Actually, they can both come off. They're encroaching on other branches if they stick out too far. then you lose the layering effect. If they overlap, you know, a layer merges into another one, it loses its shape. Actually, that big one's coming right off too. That's better, and you can come off. Right, so that's that done. Got some little back buds here pushed out from the base of this branch, and I want them to grow. That will expand this layer and make it look better. So, not taking those right off. Right, so that's that one done. Move over to another branch. I've got a bit sticking out here that I'm going to leave the top bit and take the bottom bit off. See what that does. Now this branch over here sticks out beyond the branch below it. That's got to come back in. Overall dome should be maintained. You don't want any middle bits sticking out farther than the lower bits. That's not how a tree grows. The lower branches grow out to the light, so they come out from underneath the branches above, and it looks wrong if you don't maintain that shape. So first job is to take the extensions back in so that this branch is now shorter than this branch. Yeah? And we've got a few bits sticking up, but not too much. We're getting to the point of the tree now where I don't want to take quite so much off. As I said, it's taken me quite a long time to get the shape back on this tree, and I don't want to take it all off again, do I? And we've got a tiny little weak branch here, so try not to take too much off, but I've got no choice. If I leave those long extensions, they'll get longer, and then they'll just elongate and look silly. So I still don't like this branch. It's too high. Let's take it down. Oh, that was a big one to cut. Yeah, let's just take it down a peg. There we go, that's that one then. And then I've done that one. I'm now coming up to the top of the tree. The whole lot's got to go in. And as I do it, I'm going to try and create layers, which is not going to be so easy. But the height of the tree needs to come down, the overall height. So this is where we get a bit ruthless. There's no point in this tree getting any taller until the trunk gets thicker. Which is why it's handy sometimes to let it grow. Every now and again it doesn't do a tree any harm to just not trim it, just let it grow. Let it get out of shape, let it grow long extensions and then bring them back in again. But if you haven't got the basic shape in the first place, it won't work. You have to have a basic outline. Right, that's there. If that's there, then this needs to come down to about here. What I usually do is I sight it and then I take one branch back to the height I want, and then everything else comes down to that height or below it. I don't need to look again and just let it go. Got a few bits sticking out the back here. Now a little bit of extension in that direction wouldn't be a bad thing, because this is a bit of a two-dimensional tree. It sticks out sideways, and there's only this little branch that sticks out forward and that one that sticks out backwards. But what we don't want is great big long things like that. Do I want a gap through there? Yes, I do. Too tall. You need to go back. Crossing branches come off, bits that have died back in the winter come off, and that's about it for a spring trim. That's not bad. So, here's my camera. that's the basic view of the tree. Yeah, so that's my lowest branch. I'll show you what I mean by the improvement just by doing that. How that improves the shape of the tree. Unfortunately, it leaves a hell of a gap here, which implies this one would have to come down as well, and to get that one to go down far enough to fill this gap, it would break. So I'm going to leave it as it is. So that's its spring trim. That's one done. Now I've got another tree that's almost identical to this that I'm going to bring straight in now and do, but I'll probably speed it up because the principle's exactly the same. So I'll be back. Okay, now this one's got a little bit more movement in the trunk. The other one was quite straight. It's also starting to get this expansion at the base of the trunk, which really makes the tree look a lot older. So this is same thing again. This is a nice layered branch, but these long extensions up here serve no purpose. So I've got to push that all back in. Then over here, this is a nice layer as well. Again, long extensions, sticky up bits gone. Same on this one, and then just a basic shape at the top. So let's get at this one then. Right, some people start at the top. I start at the bottom. I always have. I like it that way. It's your choice. I mean, you know, it's your tree. How you decide to prune it is entirely up to you. I just find I can see better if I work from the bottom upwards. I have tried it the other way and I wasn't as happy doing it, so I don't do it. Again, I'm just looking for crossing branches, old dead bits, of which there are hardly any. I've had very little dieback this year, which is good. We like that. Not going to repot my bonsai this year. They're going to stay in their pots yet another year. Basically because I don't want vigorous growth. I don't need that vigorous growth anymore. I need gentle growth. I need shaping type growth. Which is just filling out the branches really. It's just, you know, just getting more twiglets, more ramification to the layers I've already got that thicken them up. You're sticking up too much, you're going to have to come off. As are you. And you. That's not a bad layer now, that's not bad at all. So that's that one done. Next one up, really big long extensions here. Going to have to come right off. I don't want to take that right off. There's a little bit of back budding happened here, which is good. Not a lot, but some. And some is always better than none. But these really long extensions, see like there, the first pair of buds on that branch is there. I can't, it's going to have to come back to here. That's what I call wasted growth. Waste of time, and there's a fair bit of it on this branch. Fair bit. But the sap is just starting to move. So there will be quite vigorous growth over the next few weeks. The leaves will start to open and then everything will effectively go mad. If you want to be really finicky, so I've moved over here now onto this branch. If you want to be really finicky, a really good type of pruning to do on maples, I'm not sure it works on other types of trees, is to, so I've got quite a bit of sticking up stuff here, and branches crossing over getting in my view, is to actually, as the leaves open, you get a pair. They always come out in a pair, and in the centre of that pair of leaves is a little embryo growth that is going to go mad with the rising sap. Yeah? If you can get a little pair of tweezers or very, very fine point scissors and take that growth out, your tree will stay nice and compact. Those leaves will open, and then at the base of each one of those two leaves a new growth will start. So you get two where you might have only got one before. But boy, is that a fiddly job. I've never attempted it. I've seen people do it and thought, you've got more patience than I have, mate. It's tedious. it's you more, you know, unless you've got really good eyesight, you'd be having to work with a magnifying glass, you know, one of those big glasses on a stand to be able to get in that tight. So there's quite a lot of crossing branches up in here, so I'm having to clear the middle, point everything outwards. So say there's something in my line of vision that's wrong. That was it, and that. Off you come. Right, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. That's not fine with that huge big curve on it. And now that I've got some back budding, it can come off. We'll push it right back. Oh, that's a bit too much for those little scissors. Done now. Now this will extend and form a layer, as opposed to curling up in the air, which wouldn't. How are you doing? We'll take you back as well. Will we? No. We'll just take that bit off and bring this down a bit. That might need doing again later in the year. Right, tool stuff. Get the basic shape back in. As soon as these long bits come off, you start to see the tree as opposed to the bush. Strictly speaking, that needs to come off because it's a strong extension and it's got 4 strong buds there. If I leave that on, they will take the strength of the top of the tree, and that bit will become dominant, which I don't want. Right, where are we? There, there, there. You. Right, just a few crossing branches left to deal with. Some very fine twigs in this top part. I'm hoping they'll push on a bit stronger this year. Okay, let's swing that round so you'll have a before and after. What I might do is freeze a still of what it was like on camera before I started cutting, and then you can compare it with so there's some bits sticking out here that I missed. They're sticking out a bit too far. Right, so that's another one done. Now we'll get the big one in. Okay, this is probably my best bonsai, although I do like my conifer, because this one has been forced back. This one got so out of shape, it was ridiculous. The lower branches were like almost twice as long as this. You can see various places where it got pushed back in. I'm still working on it. These twigs need to be a lot finer, but I'm getting there. Right, so where's me hacking tools? So the idea is here, this layered branch here is being allowed to droop because it gives a gorgeous effect when it's in leaf. But I don't want these bits cluttering up the layer. The layer has to stay free, that has to stay clean, that layer, or it just doesn't work. And then over here we've got a clutter of branches that I was trying to force to back bud, which has now happened, but unfortunately in some cases they've also become long extensions. This I haven't got a suitable cutter in here. I don't think I can do it with my current ones, but what I want here is a layer that is in the way. It needs, I might be able to cut it with these secateurs. This needs to come off back here where the back budding is. Oh, not too bad. It came off. Yeah. Now, when the layers, when the leaves come out, that nasty scar won't show so much. There will be a bit of healing going on there. I don't think there's any other huge branches that need to come off. So we now have, let's get them out of the way because they're confusing the view. It needs to come off. That's better. Yeah. So we've got a layer here. We're now getting a layer here, but it's too tall. To make this a clean layer, it's got to be just above this one and relatively level. So now that I've got the back budding, we can do that. So we can get rid of that bit, and we can get rid of that bit. Now, when this grows, it'll be a layer. And over the top of it, once I clear the cobblers in the way, we will have another layer out the back. So it will go 1, 2, 3. That's good. Over this side it's more uniform. It's 1, 2, which is sticking up too much, but I've got the back budding I want, and then it's just a matter of clearing the apex out. So I'll keep those handy because I think I might need them. Some big bits need to come off. Right. Oh, God, this is big. It's heavy as well, very heavy. Strictly speaking, it ought to have a repot, but it's not going to get one this year. It's going to stay in here again. The reason I think it needs a repot is because it's heavy. Well, it's heavy because it's holding water, which means it's probably not draining as well as it should. Right, over this side first. Sticking up bits and long extensions out the back. This layer looks absolutely gorgeous when the leaves come out, because it is quite uniform now, and it's working quite well. This was my hardest one because it's such a large expanse. This was hard work getting this one to effectively be recreated, because it was lost. You know, it was out here, so it was lost. Sticky up bit, and again. I can't let it come back round too much, otherwise it will start obscuring the trunk, which I wouldn't want. Just a nice rounded shape, and then we've just got these bits that have come out the side, which is good because that extends the layer in both directions. Dead bit there, you come off. Right, so that's the bottom layer done. Now I move over here, and this layer is coming back. This one was hard work as well, very hard work. So we'll come back into there. You're pointing downwards. Got a bit of a clutter here. Take one off, leave one sticking out sideways. One crossing right across the middle there, you'll have to come off. You can go back. The two branches here are actually crossing over, so there's no clearance there, which means something's got to give, and it will be this side that gives. And push that out that way. Right, it's a weak branch, I don't take too much off of it. So the problem is the tree will push its strength into the easiest path it can find. So if it's got a weak branch and next to it is a strong branch, all the energy will go down the strong branch and leaving the weak one even weaker. So you've got to go steady what you cut off. Right, so here we now need to turn that into a layer. So anything sticking up, which I didn't have. Last year I didn't have the choice to do this. So anything sticking up comes off. Sticking out too far sideways. So that's that one back in. Following it through. Can I risk it? Yes. I'm going to take half of this branch off. Take that back to there. Reason being, it's two branches quite close together that are quite thick. So all they do is clutter each other up and spoil what could be a delicate view. Right, so let's hope that works now. Got a few back buds that now need to push on, which hopefully they will do. With that branch removed, all the energy that was coming up there has now got far less places to go to, which should put the vigour back in. Right, now I've got to get at this back branch. You'll think this is a daft way to do it, but I'm going to prune that back branch looking at it from the front, which means I've got to lean over the whole tree to do it. But if I don't do that, I won't be pruning it to its view, which is from the front. Right, it's getting very cluttered there, so that can come out. So, you know, it's a strange concept. You want to get as many little twigs as possible, as much ramification as you can get. And as soon as it gets too thick, you start thinning it out. All good fun. The more little twigs you've got, the more nice little neat leaves you will have. And the leaves will find their own way to the light, so they will make a layer in doing so. They all try and get as much light as they can. And in doing so, they form those flat layers. They do on a maple. It doesn't necessarily work on other trees, but it does on a maple. Dead bit. Come right off. And you need to come off, you're dangling down. Right, now the tall bits. That's not bad, the wheel's sticking up. You can come off. That's probably about right for that, for now. Now we move over to here, and that could definitely do with coming down there. That would need a wire, a very strong wire as well to pull that down. But not for this year, we won't bother this year. So again, crossing branches, things that stop a layer looking good. There's a little layer here. Now that I've got all this back budding, we can make that a layer. Now I didn't have that choice last year. I didn't have those branches to work with, but I've got them this year. So we've got a little pad there with some back budding down here. Now we move on to this big one. Again, some back budding, the long extension sticking out, getting in the way, as is that one, unfortunately. That's a shame. Never mind. Then we've got this one, serves no purpose at all, right off. How are we getting there? I want this to be quite a small pad, so I'll be quite brutal with it. Brutal. Right. Do I want the layer there? No, I don't. Glitter. Still too tall. You need to be able to look over the top of this branch to this branch. So that one's got to go back a bit. And we'll see where it shoots out. Right. Still think that's a bit tall. Let's take it off. It's obscuring a view. That's really what it comes down to. I can't see over it to be able to see this branch, which I need to be able to do. Right, now we're back to silly long extensions again. This is where the process speeds up. And on an apex, there are a couple of maples where you daren't do this because they don't grow this way. They grow sideways and outwards. And if you get one of those, the worst thing you can do is trim your apex because it won't grow again. Because that's not the style of that type of maple. Now don't ask me which ones it is, but I have read about them and I have seen people working on them that prove the point. Right, that's not bad. This is effectively a triple apex, which once the leaves come out forms a lovely dome and then the layers start below. But nonetheless, they still need air. They still need light and air. Otherwise, you'll get dieback. Yeah, you can grow into that space. that's about it for a spring trim. No, that's not. You're sticking up far too much. There's only 2 twigs, but you've got to get an outline again there, sticking up. The only way you can see it is to get down and get back. Another one there, sticking up, and there, and there. That's not bad. So we've got a dome effect here, coming out here, that will hopefully form me a layer this year. This one hopefully will shoot out this way and start to become nearer the length of this one. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do for a spring trim. Right, I don't know how different it's going to look. And I apologise that you've got no background. If I had a black cloth or something behind the tree, you could see what I was doing a lot better. But I've got nowhere to put it. And I thought about putting it there. Well, then all the light's gone. So this is about as good as it gets. I don't like filming outside because I can't talk along. So there we go, we've got our layer back here. Yeah, we're forming a layer here by taking that lump off and this bit sticking up. Then the view is drawn to the back, and we would have a really nice layer there if that bit came off. Get off. That's not bad. Into there. And then up from over this side, you've got this, what will become a complete layer, but at the moment it'll be in 2 pieces. Over this side, hopefully these areas here will back bud a little more this year, and I want this branch here to become similar to this one, just not quite as long. That'll balance the tree. This could do with going down a bit to fill that gap more evenly, which I might think about doing. And then at some point it might even be possible to take this off, depending on what happens here. As I said, it looks like a triple apex at the moment, and this bit hasn't got much on it, so it's not going to have many leaves, so you're going to be able to see its ugly shape basically. Right, so that's the big one. That's all I'll be doing for today. The other trees are my conifer. That doesn't get trimmed for probably a month. They always start to sprout later. There won't be much to do to that. Got a lot of back budding last year, that's not bad. There's my beech tree that grew a 2-foot extension on the top last year. I'm going to take great delight in cutting it right off. That'll be fun. But again, not until I see the green on the buds and see them start to move. And beech is one of the later trees again. Then there's my hornbeam. That will be probably the next one. And then the other one I've got is the, I can never remember its name, but it's a type of elm, something serrata. You can look it up yourself. The one that I should have given away 2 years ago, and it ended up not going because I lost contact with the person who was going to have it. So, and those are they. So that's that session done. Hope you've enjoyed it. As I said, it's my other hobby, but I could never have bonsai as a hobby unless I devoted the whole garden to it and got the trees on pedestals and really spent time with them and the effort. So it's my second hobby, and as a hobby, the trees, okay, they need watering and feeding during the growing season, but they get a whole winter with absolutely nothing to do. They get rained on, nothing to do for 4 months, literally. And then they get a spring trim, and if I do it properly, they'll get another one around June time to again push it back and thicken up the layers, which got forgotten last year. And then an autumn tidy up, maybe. It's not absolutely necessary, the autumn one. Better left till the spring when the sap starts to rise. So there we go. See you next time.